So, a couple of weeks ago, we did Teaching Tuesday on the devout paragon of the cleric. Today, we're going to do the Vanguard paragon of the guardian fighter. It's probably not going to go as great because I don't necessarily know that much about guardian fighters other than just like how to get by. So I'm going to teach you how to get by, I guess. I don't know. And Kian is not going to be any help, most likely, because he's a paladin tank. So that's a problem.
In quotations.
JMO is not on yet. But I'm sure he'll join in when he gets here. Anyway, so starting off, so we're going to go the same way we did with the cleric stuff. We're just going to pretend people's here already, and they'll just come in whenever, willy-nilly, whatever. And then I'll just post the whole thing to YouTube like I did with the cleric one today. And it'll be great. Guardian fight. Wait, what? Yes, Voodoo, if you would like to come join in this party and participate in Teaching Tuesday on the Guardian Fighter, feel free. Voodoo plays a Guardian Fighter tank, and he does really well on it.
I will not object, because I know nothing.
Yes, we will not object to you coming and joining Teaching Tuesday.
It also means I don't have to say anything. Feel free. Fish race, drow.
Okay.
Or renegade.
Yes, starting off. First thing you have to choose if you've decided to play a Vanguard Guardian Fighter is what race you're going to be. The best options that you have are, since you're a support class, you're going to... Playing Spider, sorry. Well, you know what? Whatever, Voodoo. Anyways, okay, so best options that you have, since you're a support class, is going to be a buff class, which is like the drows. So you have the regular drow and the Menzo, Barenza, and drow. If you can roll to one of those, if you play with a set group of people, make sure you have your two supports on opposite classes, if that's something that you are okay with and like your whole group is down with. And you play with those people all the time, it's worth it to have one of you on Menzo, Barenza, and one of you on the regular drow. If you don't want to go drow, the next best option is probably dwarf, which the dwarf race allows you, it gives you defense and immunity to knockbacks, or like not immunity, but like it lessens the knockbacks on you. Isn't that what dwarves do?
They have, I think, a resistance to something, some sort of control effects, I think.
It's something with like knockbacks too, specifically. And then I guess if you don't want to be drow or dwarf, then maybe, I don't know, you can be like a dragonborn, but we don't like those, so I'm not recommending it because they're ugly.
And the only reason to pick the dragonborn is if you intend on being a dreadnought as well.
Yes, then you have your stats for your DPS side as well, with the power and the crit and whatever else dragonborn things give you. I don't even know because I don't like them. Anyways, otherwise just pick whatever class you want to play that is most appealing to you, if you don't want to go with those that are good specifically for being a guardian fighter. Okay, next up is your ability points. What do you put those guys in? I am in Constitution and Dexterity. Constitution gives me maximum hit points and AP gain, and Dexterity gives me movement speed. That's the main thing I'm in here for, is the movement speed on Dexterity. Some people will go Charisma, which will give you Forte and recharge speed. I don't think anybody really uses any of these other ones.
Strength.
Yeah, maybe Strength, yeah. For stamina regen. Stamina regen and physical damage boost. That'll help you obviously regenerate your stamina, and the physical damage boost will help you with aggro. Maybe that's why I have trouble with aggro, because I'm not in strength. I don't know. I'm in Constitution, maximum hit points, AP gain, and Dexterity, crit severity, and movement speed. I want to run fast because the people that we play with, a lot of times they don't want to wait for the tank. They just want to go run, and they're all really fast. So like I got to try to keep up as fast as I can and try to get there before them. Because then they're going to be like, why didn't you heal me on your tank and let me die? And I'm going to be like, bro, I'm a tank. But they always say I don't heal them regardless of what character I'm on. It's ridiculous. Anyways, okay. So yes, so Constitution, Dexterity, Charisma, Strength are your options there for these thingies. As far as powers go, for your at-wills, you have... Okay, so you can use a couple of these. Cleave is an AoE at-will that if you're running like the Vistani set and the Grace Ring on your tank, then you'll want to run Cleave so that you can proc it on the Guardian Fighter. If I'm not running that, I don't run Cleave. I just run Brazen Slash for stamina restoration, and then I run Threatening Rush. Threatening Rush is a shield, like it bashes the shield up against the thing. It can be animation canceled, and it gives you increased threat while you're doing it. So you can animation cancel Threatening Rush and hit really hard, really fast. Or not really hard, but you can hit quite a few times if you animation cancel. And it also helps you build up your daily very quickly doing that as well. Same with like the Cleric, only it's a shield bash instead of a scattering light. So I'm usually on Brazen Slash and Threatening Rush. If I switch off of anything, I'm switching from Brazen Slash. No, wait. If I switch off of anything, I'm switching from... yes, from... I can't talk. I switch off of Brazen Slash to Cleave and keep Threatening Rush on. Those are the only switches that I'll make in the at-will area. As far as encounters go, you can use multiple different ones of these depending on the scenario that you're in. Sometimes I'll use Bull Charge. That is like it just dashes you in really quickly and does a big hit to the enemy. If you're not feeded into Bull Charge, down in the bottom, your enemy will go flying backwards and away from you. So like if you are feeded into it though and you Bull Charge, it just does like an extra magnitude hit to them. The main things that I always keep on, though, for the most part, I always have Shield Throw on and Anvil. I say always, but not always. Most of the time, if it's single target, I have Shield Throw and Anvil. AoE, I will switch off of Anvil, and I will go to Line Breaker and Enforce Threat are the two that I'll run there. So Shield Throw, Line Breaker, and Enforce Threat if it's AoE. Shield Throw, Anvil, and depending on the content, I will either run a second hard taunt, or I will run Iron Warrior if I need damage mitigation for myself, or Knight's Valor. If I'm like having a little bit of trouble keeping aggro or something, I'll want to run Knight's Valor so I can cheat, because I'm that kind of tank. I don't care about you people who are like, oh, you need Knight's Valor to keep aggro. Well, do you want to die or do you want me to use Knight's Valor? That's the way I look at that. So, yeah. I'll switch on Knight's Valor if I need to. I don't really use any of these other things ever. Yeah, no. So just the only options that I'll ever use from here is Bull Charge, Shield Throw, Anvil, Enforce Threat, Line Breaker, Iron Warrior, and Knight's Valor. Iron Warrior specific things is whenever I know I'm going to take like a big tank buster or something, like in Zariel or Tom if I'm about to get hit with Annihilation Ball, or even in the MTOS, like sometimes if I take a Death Head or something in the first boss and he dunks, I'll try to switch on Iron Warrior. That way I can use my Iron Warrior before he dunks me again to try to mitigate some of that. I don't really do that often though, I'm not going to lie, because kind of gotten okay-ish with it to where I don't really need it, but it's used to just decrease the damage that you take. It decreases it 20% when you pop Iron Warrior. When I tank the first boss MTOS Top Shotters, I keep on Shield Throw, Anvil, and Enforce Threat. And then I will, at the door, like whenever we go to run in, you get that cutscene, and then it's like I'll run in and Shield Throw, and then once I go around to the opposite side of the guy, I'll try to pop my daily and trigger my retaliation real quick, so that way I get that like taunt on him, because that retaliation's going to hit him. And it will also proc my Manticore main from my helm, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which will give me an additional hit as well. And then I try to save my anvil until somebody pulls the aggro or gets close to pulling the aggro, which they pull the aggro off of me. I'm not the best tank in the world. Like it is what it is. You get what you get whenever I'm coming to tank. We can do the content with me tanking and it's fine. Somebody might die, but you know, it's what it is. That's what they get for hitting so hard. Anyways, but I'll save my anvil for the taunt, and then usually whenever he phases out and pops the clones out, I'll make sure that I enforce threat on the clones, and then I'll try to round up some spiders here and there as well. Enforce threat's like an AoE taunt, anything that's within the certain radius of whatever, and then it also debuffs the target by reducing their awareness by 10%. So enforce threat is good to use on single target as well, on big enemies and stuff. That way you're debuffing them so that the DPS is doing more damage to them. Okay. But those are the power. I keep these 3 powers on. Shield Throw, Anvil, and Enforce Threat for MTOS, first boss.
I found this on the web.
Okay. Siri found that on the web. Alright. Moving on to dailies. For dailies, there's 3 different dailies that I use. I'll use Second Wind, Bladed Rampart, and Phalanx. There's a 4th one that you can use, which is Determination also. That one is more so important if you are feeded into it, I guess. I think. I don't actually know. So you can either be feeded into Determination or Bladed Rampart. I'm feeded into Bladed Rampart on this loadout. I do have a loadout where I'm feeded into Determination as well. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, so Second Wind, when you use this as your daily, it increases the maximum amount of hit points that you have by 20%. And you get a heal for doing damage. So like, it'll heal you and give you some extra hit points. So in like a little pinch where you're taking some damage, and the most prominent spot that I'll use the Second Wind right here is in Tiamat. At the end, whenever we're at the chest and we've got our mini bosses back there, and I'm like, oh no, I'm too far away from the hills or something, I'll pop Second Wind right there, and it'll usually get me through. I'll use it in MTOS too sometimes. It just depends if I have it on my tray though or not, whether I'm using it, because it's a lot of times I don't have the forethought to like specifically put it on there unless I'm really in Tiamat. Like that's the only place where I'm like, ooh, let me make sure I got this on. Okay, so that's Second Wind. We'll talk about Bladed Rampart. Whenever you use Bladed Rampart, it adds 30% defense and awareness to you for 10 seconds. So, and you deal physical damage when you take damage. So if, say we're outside, this is like specifically in-game related context that I'm about to give you here. Like Tom. Right before we're loading into Tom, if I'm tanking, I will pop my Bladed Rampart outside of the door before we load in. And then as soon as we load in, I'm going to shield throw. Hallister's going to target me and he's going to hit me with a magic missile. As soon as he hits me, my Bladed Rampart should still be active and it's going to deal damage back to Hallister. So without me even like damaging him or anything, just because I use this daily, I'm dealing damage to him. And then on top of that, it's going to park my Mana Core main, which we haven't talked about yet. But you want to try to get damage from that as much as possible, and also using your Retaliate as well before you blow through your hard taunts and stuff. The next one is Phalanx. This is useful for when the group needs some DR. You will use Phalanx, and he pops his arms out to the side and like squats down and puts like this circle barrier up around the group. And then you just like hold that barrier for 14 seconds. And you're just stuck in it until you cancel it. You can't move or anything. But it says you gain immunity to most control effects and erect a barrier around you, decreasing the damage taken by allies within by 20%. So in any scenario where the group needs DR, like where the clerics or anybody else is putting down their hallows or something, if you wanted to be helpful as well in providing DR, you could pop a phalanx right there, and it will protect the group and yourself because you're in it. But that's what the phalanx is used for. DR. All DR. Okay. Determination. It dispels and grants immunity to most control effects and increases damage dealt by 10%. This doesn't really, I mean, I guess it does something. I don't actually know if it does anything like on its own in terms of helping you be safe other than like, and it just increases the damage that you're doing, which means they're going to hit you some more because you got more aggro, I guess. Determination is more useful to you whenever you're feeded into determination. And it's called it's this 4th feat right here, and it's perfect block. So when you're feeded into determination, it allows you every 180 seconds, so every 3 minutes, so long as you have stamina. Wait, no. You don't have to have stamina. Just kidding. Yeah. So determination now allows the blocking of most attacks without the use of stamina. But it means that like you're gonna like you can block anything with this determination for however long it lasts. I think it's 12 seconds. What did I just say? 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Not anything. What do you mean not anything? Most things. I think the Hallister ball still might kill you sometimes. Okay, yeah. See, Hallister balls might still kill you. But in terms of, so like take for example Zariel. If in the angel phase one of the angels dies before the other one and it becomes empowered, the tank can pop determination and just sit there and hold that angel, and that angel will just like smack you over and over and over, and it's not going to kill you because you've used that determination. Whereas in a normal scenario, had you not used that determination, she would one-shot you instantly. But because you have that determination and you're feeded into it, it keeps you safe there. So long as they kill it within 10 seconds. Because you can't just sit there and stay dug in and it lasts forever. Only lasts for the duration of determination. And that's, I think, outside of the Hallister balls, I feel like it probably works on most other things. Let's say most other things. I only have a determination loadout specifically for Zariel, so I can't say otherwise. Otherwise, I run Bladed Rampart and I'm feeded into Bladed Rampart, which grants 30% awareness. What is that, like 60% awareness? Holy moly, that's a lot. That's a lot of awareness. A little bit of overkill if you ask me. Anyway. Okay, yeah, so those are the 4 dailies. Second Wind, Determination, Bladed Rampart, and Phalanx. For the most part, I'm on Bladed Rampart and Second Wind, or Bladed Rampart and Phalanx, just depending on the content that I'm in. 2 of these only keep me safe. Second Wind and Bladed Rampart, those are only working for me, whereas Phalanx is a group DR. Okay, so your mechanics of the tank, you have a block, obviously, which is just you putting your shield up. So this is just like a normal block. It's the left thumbstick in. And you put your shield up, and she's like, hiya. As a guardian fighter, you can still attack when your shield is up, unlike a paladin or a paladin. I don't know what barbarians can do, because we don't like those either. Okay, and then you also have the ability to dig in. So you can block, just putting your shield up, and you can dig in as a guardian fighter, which is going to be the right bumper. Wait, no, right? Yeah. Oh, my right bumper doesn't work. Oh, here we go. I have it on a paddle, so I had to figure out what button it was, because I was like, I don't actually know, because it's on a paddle on the back of my controller. So you have the ability to dig in. When you dig in, Okay, hold on. Let's talk about the block first. So when you're blocking something, it raises your shield up and you absorb damage from the front of your character up to 40% of your total maximum hit points. So in order to block something by this, you need to be facing the source of the damage to absorb the damage. If you block it and like it's behind you and you did this, like it's still going to hit you. So long as you have your shield up, you will not regenerate stamina. And if you take a hit to the shield while you have it up, it depletes your stamina. So you can't just sit here and hold this up and let it deplete your stamina and then keep holding your shield up and expect it to continue on or something. I think the Guardian Fighter, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think the Guardian Fighter will still hold its shield up even though it doesn't have stamina. Obviously.
That's only the digging, I think.
It won't put its shield up if it doesn't have stamina? Somebody correct me on that, because I don't actually know. Because I rarely just put my shield up. For the most part, I always dig in. Yeah. Okay, so I put my shield up, but mostly I'm only putting my shield up to get out of something. Like it gives you, like it grants you immunity to control effects. So if you see the block right there, the added effect, you're immune to most control effects. So take, for example, in Master Temple of the Spider, or anything really that's got like slow, that like in Boss, the like mushrooms and stuff that go on the floor in there. If you just pop your shield up real quick and try to move, like you'll move better as the tank, but like it will tick on your stamina or something. So like you gotta do it quick and get out of there. You don't want to just sit there and hold it up. But I'll put my shield up to be able to get out of sticky situations, literally. But for the most part, that's the only time that I'm blocking with my left stick block. This block. All other times I'm using the dig in. So the dig in, let's read about it. So you take up a defensive position behind your shield, absorbing damage from all directions up to 60% of your total maximum hit points. So now you can just like say this dude right here is an enemy and I'm like, oh no, you're too close to me, I'm gonna run away. Dig in because he's about to hit me. Even though he's about to hit me in the back, it doesn't matter because I'm dug in and I'm gonna block it from all directions around me 360 degrees. So that's super useful as a Guardian Fighter to have in your arsenal to block stuff. In addition to that, wait, what does that say? You may not move or attack while under the effect of dig in, and stamina regenerates at a diminished pace. So does your stamina regen if you're in dig in? Y'all, this is news to me. I told you I don't know that much about this. Okay. Well, yeah, so it just is a diminished regeneration rate, but it'll still diminish if you're dug in. I mean, still regenerate if you're dug in. Okay. In addition to that, while you're dug in, you gain 15% awareness. So digging in will give you 15%. Even if you didn't like pop a daily or anything, just because you dug in, you're like, boom, look, I just upped my stats by 15%. So you want to make sure if you are one of those people who's capped based on digging in on your awareness, that you actually dig in for attacks. Even if you don't have stamina, you can dig in. And even if you don't have stamina, it's still going to give you the 15% awareness. Like, so you can still get that added benefit even without having stamina. And you're immune to most control effects. But you can't actually move or anything, so that's that. When you're dug in, you can't move. You're just stuck there dug in. But it'll block attacks and stuff that would knock you and all of those things. Okay. Retaliate. So your retaliate is basically another taunt. You have to utilize it correctly though. So whenever you're dug in and something attacks you, your shield will sort of like it'll turn red a little bit, and that's how you know you're about to retaliate. It's basically a taunt, You can retaliate and pull threat off of somebody. Are you saying that as like a, am I wrong? I don't actually know what you're doing. I don't know. Anyways, that's what I think about it. Let's go jump in this thing. See if we can make it work. I might die. Let's see. So I'm jumping in here. See how my shield is red? And I just did that little like thing where I flung my sword up and I hit back. That's the retaliate. So your shield will turn red, and when you release the dig in, she will hit whatever, or she will hit whatever is attacking them with her shield and with their shield, and that will do damage to them. So the magnitude is 500 to 800. The damage increases as remaining stamina decreases. And it increases your threat gen. I didn't say it was a hard taunt. I just said a taunt. Okay. No. It's not a hard... Like, retaliate is not a hard taunt. But it is a big hit that can be used to... Like, I've pulled threat back off of people with just a retaliate, too. It's not... It doesn't place you at the top of the threat list by any means, but it is a hit, and with your damage multipliers and stuff as a tank, sometimes that's enough and it will work. You always want to make sure that you're utilizing your retaliate, I think. I don't know. This is why I was leery of doing this, I'm gonna be honest. I don't actually know that much about the tank. You can only retaliate once every 10 seconds. So if it's on cooldown because you just used it, you can't use it again until 10 seconds has passed. Again, you can always see when it's ready to proc. Like, you can always see when it's about to proc because it's going to turn red. Your shield's going to turn red. Being on the path of the Vanguard, you obviously have threat generation because you're a tank and you want to generate threat. And then your paragon path provides increase to defense and excels at accuracy and crit avoidance. So defense is your main paragon forte, your main forte of this paragon, and then accuracy and crit avoidance are the other two. No, it's definitely not a hard taunt. You have two for sure hard taunts, and that is going to be Anvil, but only if you're feeded into it, and Enforce Threat. Those are your two hard taunts. So if somebody strips aggro off of you, you're going to want to use one of those to take it back instantly. Enforce Threat sometimes won't instantly take it back. Like, you can hit Enforce Threat and it's like, nope. You need to like hit again, because if somebody's like hit happened right after that or something, it may take it. It may just be like null and void. So I usually Enforce Threat and then Threatening Rush a couple of times just to make sure that my Enforce Threat like takes and I actually take the aggro. But for the most part, it'll take it. I don't think it's not often that I'm like, oh no, I Enforce Threat it and it didn't do anything. Sometimes your Anvil can be a dud too, if I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes you can Anvil and absolutely nothing happens because your Anvil just is like, cool, bro. You Anviled. Nice. So yeah, that's always a possibility. But in order for Anvil to be a hard taunt, you need to be feeded into Anvil of Challenge. So when you're feeded into Anvil of Challenge down here in the class features, it makes Anvil of Doom place you at the top of the target's threat list now, making it a hard taunt. Some people don't even use Anvil. Like, I know Elmo the other day was talking and he doesn't even run Anvil. I guess it's just the style of the tank. I run Anvil. I don't really know if there's a different way or anything. I don't know what Elmo is using otherwise. Maybe like Line Breaker or Bull Charge or something. I have no idea. But as far as hard taunts wise, Anvil of Challenge when you're feeded into it, and Enforce Threat. Class features that you can run. I don't know any other options on this other than I run Vigorous Strikes because it increases the critical hit rate by 10% because when your stamina gauge is full. You can run Shield Talent, which increases your stamina regeneration. I don't use that one ever. I don't think. I don't use that one ever. I don't use that one ever. And then I'm always on Anvil of Challenge because I run Anvil. Yeah, so I don't really know here. I know that I run Vigorous Strikes and Anvil of Challenge. This is a great teaching lesson, huh? I feel like you could run some greater endurance if you wanted to run faster. Yeah, maybe. Increases your movement speed by 10%. I'd recommend it. But I'm going to use Vigorous Strikes and Anvil because I'm going to try to hit harder by critting more, I guess, so that way I'm generating more threat. I guess that's the logic behind that. And then the Anvil, obviously, so that it's a hard taunt. As far as feats on the bottom, I am in Shield Thrower just because, so it makes Shield Throw generate threat as well, like additional threat, and it reduces the cooldown of Shield Throw to 6 seconds. It does reduce the magnitude of the hit, so if you're not so just regularly, if you Shield Throw, the magnitude is 325, but because you're feeded into it, it reduces the magnitude down to 250, but it generates additional threat. So it's worth it, I guess, but it doesn't stun targets anymore. The second feat, I'm in Bull Charge, the Cleaving Bull one, which now, so this, whenever I run Bull Charge up here, remember how I said it knocks the enemies back and stuff. So when you're feeding into it, it no longer knocks the targets back, and it does additional damage whenever you strike multiple enemies. Duration is 6 seconds. Is it a dot? Oh, I guess that's just like a buff to you. I'm gonna need to delete this VOD.
Are you teaching them or are they teaching you? Which way is it?
I don't think it's me teaching anyone. Let's just say that. Okay, so it says Bull Charge no longer knocks back targets and now grants the effect of Cleaving Bull, causing you to deal additional physical damage whenever an attack strikes multiple enemies. So what I take from this is when you're feeded into it, like you can Bull Charge into a pack of enemies, like AoE style, and then while you're at willing and hitting those enemies and stuff, you're going to deal additional damage to those as well, which for 6 seconds time. So that's going to help you maintain threat on adds. So good idea. It's a good idea, guys. I'm glad we came up with that just now. The third feat, it's not a class feat. I'm in combat balance. This may not be obtainable like in full for everyone. It required me to actually redo all of my insignias and stuff to actually get the maximum benefit out of combat balance, the full 10%. However, just being feeded into combat balance gives you a percentage of this DR automatically. Like it's not fully reliant, just because like if your stats are so far out of whack or something, it's not like you're gonna get 0%. I think you'll automatically get 5%. Is that right or wrong?
I remember hearing that. It was on the Fire Discord, they said 5%.
We believe. We believe you'll get 5% automatically. I don't know. However, so combat balance, whenever you're not blocking, you decrease damage taken by up to 10% of if your crit avoidance, deflect, and awareness ratings are equal. The farther apart the ratings are from each other, the less of the effect it is. So you won't get the full 10% if your ratings are further apart from each other. Yeah. I switched out all, so he's saying it's super easy with 10k deflect boots, even with Dons and Fortitudes. Yeah, I had on all Fortitudes previously, and I put the deflect boots on, and I was still pretty far away from it. I think just maybe based off of gear and stuff. I'm not really sure. We got it in line though now to where, so whenever it says your ratings, okay, it's because I'm not in a group. Where's Kian?
1 second. Don't forget as well, you're missing your deflect pot that you should be
Yeah, I
crafting for the
just
trial, but you're not.
potted up fully. So when I'm fully potted and I'm in a group, right now I'm getting a ridiculous amount of crit avoidance because of my boots. So these boots right here, when you're not in a party, you get 5,000 crit avoidance, and when you are in a party, you get 10,000 deflection. So whenever I join a group, oh, I did it again. So if you look right here, my awareness, crit avoidance, and deflect are all like very, very close together. So I'm getting my combat balance because of that. Because they're all right there together. That's what that means. The rating, where it says rating, not your percentages, the rating, when those are in line with each other, is when you'll get the 10% DR for combat balance. Okay. 4th feat. I'm in Bladed Rampart, as we talked about earlier. So whenever I use Bladed Rampart, I get 30% awareness. The last feat, I have it in Shake It Off, so that way whenever I retaliate, it increases the magnitude of my retaliate. I can't even talk. Of my retaliate by up to 300 magnitude based on your remaining stamina. It decreases that magnitude as your remaining stamina decreases. So those are my feats. Capiche? Capiche. As far as boons go, whenever you're getting your boons and you're putting these in here, I prioritize power and defensive stats and hit points. So I'm pretty sure I started out with the defensive stuff and hit points, and then stuck in power too, because I have a good chunk of boons. But you'll want to make sure that you're like doing those to help you. The more boons you have, obviously you can put it in everything in here, and you can have all of the boons if you want. Up top for the tier 2 ones, I'm not really sure why I'm not in that. Can't say. I'm in Forte and Stamina region, just because I put a lot of stuff into Stamina region on this tank to try to maximize that amount of Stamina region that I have. So I'm in second win right here. I'm not 100% sure why I'm in Forte, other than maybe I just am there to max my stats or something. I don't know. Incoming healing's probably a good option too. I feel like that would be a good option as the tank, to have 4% more incoming healing. And then recharge speed, I guess. An action point gain. I don't really know. I don't know if recharge speed would be something, or if you just would pick from those. Who knows? Honestly. For my master boon, I'm in focused retaliation. Deflect severity is kind of hard to come by, so this is a good boon, because you get at rank 3, once you get your 3rd master boon in there, you're getting 6% deflect severity off of that, and deflect. And control resistance. So 6% control resistance, 6% deflect, and 6% deflect severity. So that's your boons. As far as the guild boons, I'm just in I'm in power on the offensive one because my power's not capped as a tank, and I like power being the stat that scales the most in terms of damage wise or whatever. That's the one I want to be in. On my defensive boon, because my stats are capped, I don't need to use defense or awareness. I'm in incoming healing here just to try to help me stay alive a little bit more. Oops, I did it again. Utility, it's going to be running, movement speed when you're just traversing mobs and stuff, mount speed when you're running around, and then revive sickness when you're in queued content. If you're going to die, try not to die. And then you don't even have to run revive sickness. But as far as queued content wise too, it's always good because the first death head that you get gives you that amount of debuff or it gives you like 10% less damage and hit points. The first head. Kian, are you even here anymore?
It's a flat 10%, yes, less damage and hit points.
Yeah. Okay. So the revive sickness, when you take the first head, regardless of whether you have the revive sickness boon within your guild or not, you get a flat 10%. So you can always run movement speed, and then once you take a death head, or if you take a second death head or whatever, then you can switch on to revive sickness, and that'll make that second death head not do as much. But for the most part, it's movement speed or revive sickness or mouth speed that I have on, depending on where I'm at in the game. Okay. So companions are going to be your support companions that we talked about. Same with the cleric on the devout paragon. You're going to want to run a support companion, and those are going to be like the tutor, the black death scorpion, dritz, a spine devil if you have one on your tank. But for the most part, tanks will probably run like tutor, dritz, or the black death scorpion. If you are trying to provide DR to the group, again, you can go with like a Bruner. Also, if you're just trying to be personal with your own damage that you're taking and stuff too, like sometimes I'll run the Golden Lion, the Stalwart Golden Lion, because if you're standing right there beside the lion, it'll intercept some of the damage and like block damage off of you. So sometimes that's good to run. Not all tanks have to use that ever. Like some tanks would never even need to use that. Sometimes I'll use it because again, I'm not the best tank in the world. It's kind of silly that I'm making this video. But I can get by, and if getting by means I need to put a Stalwart Golden Lion on, I'm going to put a Stalwart Golden Lion on. But otherwise, it's just those debuff ones. Sometimes you can even chuck on an Intellect Devour or Bonk if you have it, or something if you don't have those best in slot ones, which would be, again, Dritz, the Black Death Scorpion, and the Tutor. I don't even have a Spine Devil on here, so I can't show you all that. And then for DR, it would be Bruner or, I guess, Bonk, which is the Cyclops War Drummer. They generate DR to the group. Yes. A companion equipment that I have on, I run the defense awareness pieces from the New Zone, from the, what is that place called? North Dark. That's it. So the companion gear that you can get out of there, this is split defense awareness stats, is the newest highest item level stuff that I have on. The gear that was obtained out of Crown and North Dark. No, not North Dark. Out of Crown and Dragonbone Veil. There you got like a companion gear choice pack out of there. It also has a defense awareness split companion piece. I'm pretty sure every set of companion gear that has been released has had some form of defense awareness stats on it that you could utilize on your companion gear. Those are those stats that I focused on putting my stuff into. Okay. Yeah, to try to help cap my stats. That's why I have the defense awareness ones on. As far as your companion enhancement goes, most of the time the tanks are going to be on armor break. However, there are certain scenarios where the tanks, like maybe if they're not attacking the same thing that the DPS is attacking all the time, you'll probably want to put your DPS on your healers on armor break. That way they're applying that to whatever the DPS is attacking. And then you as the tank would probably run either dulled senses or vulnerability or slowed reactions. But those are the 4 companion enhancements that you have the options of running as the support class tank. It's going to be armor break, first and foremost, most likely. And then vulnerability, dulled senses, and slowed reactions. As far as the companions on your back page, you're going to want to base those off of the stats that you need to cap your stats. You're probably going to be looking for the most part for awareness and defense. I don't run anything that is other than awareness and defense. I don't have like any crit avoidance or deflect or anything like that on the back page. I run a raptor, however, because most of our groups that we run with are all pre-made groups, and we all run raptors because that's just the meta that we're in right now. And so running that raptor as well increases my power as well, which is also helping with my threat generation. So it works out. I have three companions that are helping me in terms of my defensive stats. I run the 7.5% slime, and then I have the Bruner slotted, which is 3.8% defense and 3.8% awareness. There's another version of the same things that Bruner gives, because Bruner was a limited time companion, and he's kind of expensive. So if you didn't get it whenever they were out and you try to buy it now, you might pay a pretty penny for it. The other companion that does give these exact same ratings is the War Dog. They can be pulled out of chests in game sometimes. I don't think they're super expensive now, but it's this exact same stats. So if you don't have a Bruner, you could always run a War Dog on the back page if you needed to. Let's look those up real quick. There's 3. Apparently it came out as an account-wide something at some point. I did not know that. Where did that come from?
Probably that account pack that's got the... I think that's the one that came with the mythic companions. You got 2 little boxes beside that.
Maybe so. Somewhere in this game there's the ability to obtain these as an account-wide unlock, apparently. But they also usually will drop as a blue companion. Go check and see if it's in the Reaper store real quick. Keen's going to go check and see if this is in the Reaper store. I don't actually know. I just had a random War Dog that I pulled out of a chest at some point in some dungeon. And as you can see, it also gives 3.8% awareness and 3.8% defense.
The Frost Mimic does it too.
A Frost Mimic does too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. So there's 2 other options, guys. A Frost Mimic also. Let's look at those. I'm pretty sure this was also a...
No, War Dog's not in there. Sadness.
Yeah, no. Oh, maybe that's why. Because the Frost Mimic... Everybody had the Frost Mimic, but not a lot of people had War Dogs. That's why they were so expensive a while back. Because they were like a rare drop. Very, very low rate. Okay, yeah. So the Frost Mimic also is 3.8% defense and awareness. So any of those 3 items, or all of them, if you don't have the ones that give you the single stat of like your awareness, which I have on a defense single stat one, and that I have on the green slime, which is 7.5% defense. That was also available in a pack somewhere to where you can have a green slime account wide. They're on the auction house all over the place. I'm not sure how expensive those are. Let's look those up. Green slime. Not that expensive at all for green. Then you got to level it up. The account one is a little bit more expensive. But you can get a green slime for 44k. And that's giving you straight, once leveled up to mythic, 7.5% defense. The other single stat companion that I run is one of the golden companions. They're going to be expensive on the other hand, because they were limited time things that came out. You can get them now from like packs on the auction house that are like those Knox box packs. I don't even know what they're called. And then they're also in the lockbox that they just put back out, the magnificent one. Once you open 250 of them, you'll get a choice pack of being able to choose from a whole bunch of mythic mounts. And then there's also these mythic companions in there as well, which are the golden companions. But the golden Deep Crow is the one that gives 7.5% awareness, which, let's look that one up. $5.9 mil. So they're expensive. So if you don't have one of these, or like, you know, I don't expect everybody to have a golden Deep Crow just because they are expensive, and they've always been expensive. Just options that you can slot on your back page are going to be companions that give you defense or awareness. There's a lot of companions that give those things. Hold on, let me look. The Myconid, that was a Zen store thing. No, I don't think you can get that anymore, but that gives awareness. Hold on, let me get on a universal slot so I can see what all these things do. So yeah, Frost Mimics, defense, awareness. The Duergar Guard is crit avoidance. If by chance you just wanted to bump up your crit avoidance, it's a straight 7.5% crit avoidance. That's an option for your back page. Let's see. The Iron Golem was hit points and defense. That was common before they did the combat rework. People used that little guy. The Lizard Shaman is awareness and incoming healing. Like the Minstrel is power and awareness. The Myconid is crit avoidance and awareness. Oh, the Owl. That's another Zen store. I got all these Zen store companions. That one was hit points and awareness. That was used previously before they did the combat advantage rework. I mean, no, not the combat advantage rework. Just like the rework of how stuff worked. I don't remember what it's called. But they reworked how hit points work to where now it's based off of your item level. Before, all the tanks just like stacked hit points as much as they could on their back page as well. So those were good to have back then. The it's not. It's the Wattler. The Wattler gives 7.5% deflect. If you wanted to go into one of those other stats that's not defense or awareness, those are options for your back page. But yeah, the other companion that is on my back page, which I feel like he might save my life sometimes, I don't really know though, is the Lich. So the Lich being slotted on the back page reduces incoming damage by 7.5%. So that's why I have him back here. He's back here being like, let me help you. Let me help you stay alive. And I'm okay with it. Okay. As far as mounts go, as a support class, I run support companions and mounts. So I'm usually running a debuff mount, in the form of either like a Pegasus, an Eclipse Lion, a Swarm, a T-Rex. If I need to run DR for the group at all, I'll run like either a Swarm or something and use that opposite of the all calls. And then as far as the equip power, if you're in a 10-man group and you're not split up with each other, your healers will generally probably run the two auras, which are going to be Mystic Aura and runic aura, but say you're in Tiamat or something where the groups are split up, usually the tank and the healer of each group will take one of those auras. So it's going to be either runic aura or mystic aura. Healers usually have runic aura more often than tanks do. So tanks are prone to the mystic aura if you have it. If you don't have either of those auras, though, you would be running things that are helpful to you as in terms of your stats, which are going to be like deflection or awareness or defense deflection, if that's ranked up. I don't even know what mount that is. But yeah, indestructible and omnipotence are the defense and awareness ones, and then you maybe get you some stamina regen if you wanted. Thank you for the raid spawn of goats. Welcome in, everyone. I mean, crit avoidance is the hardy hardy resistance. So those are all the options other than the 2 auras. Would be just like your defensive stats that you're trying to buff up a little bit. Yeah. That's it. As far as Insignias go, on this toon, like I said before, I redid all of my Insignias for the most part to where my Insignias were contributing to my stats rather than just providing me hit points and defense. Because like right now, fortitudes, if I still had on all fortitudes, all of my Insignias would just be giving me defense and then a bunch of hit points. So I redid all of those, and I put on like the different types of Insignias that I put on are evasions, which give awareness and deflect, and courages, which give defense and crit avoidance. And then I still have on some fortitudes as well that are giving me a little bit of hit points and defense just because I'm cheap. And then also it's going to be like those illuminated ones. They don't have evasion or courage in those, so like you have to pick something else regardless. So in those, I still have the fortitudes that I had before just because I didn't want to make more dominances because dominance gives you it gives you power and forte. So even if you put a dominance in there, because it gives you forte as well, you're still going to be buffing up your defense a little bit by having that in there. And then also you're getting the power from it, so that's helping you with threat generation. So those are the types of ones that I have. Evasion, courage, dominance, and some fortitudes still. As far as the bonuses, I have three gladiators guiles on. I don't know if that's recommended. That's just the way my insignias worked out. And that's what I have on there. Shepherd's devotion, whenever I use a daily power, my teammates are buffed. And survivors, hold on, let's read these so I don't mess them up. Oh my god. Oh. Okay, so Survivor's Blessing, whenever you deflect an attack, you're healed by 5% of your maximum hit points over 6 seconds. So tanks deflect a good bit. You know, they're not just sitting there. Why am I getting gold? Were you picking up copper somewhere?
Sure.
Look at my copper going up. Anyways, okay, so this is like a self-healing insignia bonus in that Survivor's Blessing. And then the other one is Shepherd's Devotion. So whenever I use a daily, my teammates' defense is increased by 1,500 and their movement speed is increased by 10%. DPS don't cap their defense. So this is helpful to them because you're giving them 1.5 defense each time you're using a daily. And then you're also increasing their movement speed by 10%. So that's good, I think. I don't know. I'm running it, so I hope it is. As far as collars, I run the same collars across my tunes with the exception of the tank. I swap out my outgoing healing collar right here, the supportive collar, for a stamina gain collar. It's not mythic and it's so sad. I'm working on it, guys. So I have movement speed, gold bonus, stamina regen, encounter power, and crit sev. And that's strictly like, this isn't thought out just specifically because it's a tank. other than the fact that I have this stamina regen collar on. Everything else on here is just because those are the ones that I use on all of my characters. And I don't really think it makes a difference whether you do the same or not. I have... So with all of my stuff on... oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Okay, let's talk about this now. So that's all for the companions and the mounts. We did all of that. Okay, so moving on to the gear page. I run a bunch of stuff in terms of helping me with stamina regeneration. So like all of my artifacts down here, if you notice, like these 3 inactive artifacts are all stamina regen artifacts. They're lower item level, but they're giving me stamina regen. Like the Sigil of the Bard is 15% stamina regen. This Wheel of Elements is 15% stamina regen. And this Illusionist Mask, don't judge me because it's legendary. That's as high as it goes. I don't have an option to make it mythic. But it is also given 15% stamina regen. My active artifact, I personally don't care if I break my set. I'm running this set not to cap my stats right now. I just happen to have the tentacle rod on. But normally my set is not a complete set. So the tentacle rod set gives you 3% defense whenever you're running the full set. I don't need that to cap my stats. So if you look at it, it's 3% defense, and when you're struck by an attack, you have a 10% chance to deal 100 magnitude damage around yourself, and can occur once every 10 seconds. That's what that set does. I will break my stat. I will break that set right there, though, if the DPS is like, if we're in a 5-man group or whatever, I'm going to try to call the Mythalar, and I'm going to be like, ooh, I'm on Mythalar. Because that's another 12% stamina regen artifact. And it's usually always present in a 5-man queue. Like you want to run this because of the debuff. It's one of the better debuffs for the group. And usually people will be okay with you running the Mythlar. And if they're not, then just throw on whatever you need to throw on. And if you want to just pop on, like if you have the Tentacle Rod set, pop the Tentacle Rod back on, and you have that extra bonus coming from that, feel free. As far as sets go on a tank, options that you could run are the Tentacle Rod set, like we just talked about. The Tentacle Rod set is good because of the amount of Constitution that you get on the set. So you get 9 Constitution from the neck and the waist total, which is giving you, what do we remember? Maximum hit points and AP gain. Yay, Constitution. Yes. Oh my god, I can't get back. Okay, but it also, so you also have awareness and incoming healing on the neck piece. And then on the waist piece, you have defense on it. So strength as well on that one. It is a split stat in terms of the strength and the Constitution. But you're getting strength, which is increasing your physical damage as well. So you're generating threat by having those 3 strength also. Other options, a lot of people right now, the Tiamat set, the new Tiamat set from the trial, people are gung-ho about that on tanks. It's super expensive, so I'm gonna sell mine if I get them, just because they're expensive, and I'm gonna get the AD because it's not necessary by any means to run that on the tank. Let's go see what it does. I sold all mine, so I can't even tell you. I have to look it up. Oh wait, it's a globe, huh? I'm just gonna type globe. Oh my gosh. So the Tiamat set right now, when you're running all 3 pieces of it, it's Draconic Resilience, and it reduces incoming damage by 8%, and you gain 8% crit avoidance for 10 seconds when your stamina drops below 15%. So is this whole set dependent upon your stamina dropping below 15% for it to proc? Or do you always get the 8% incoming damage regardless, and then you only get the 8% crit avoidance when your stamina drops?
You get both.
But just when your stamina drops? Yeah, okay. So that's why people are running this, is for that DR that it's giving and the crit avoidance when your stamina drops below. I'm pretty sure both pieces have of the neck and the waist to have constitution on them. I think it's 6 on both of them if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Let's look. Oh, nope, just kidding. It's split on this as well. So the waist piece on this one is strength and constitution, and then deflect and incoming healing. And then the neck piece is charisma. It's not even constitution. I made that whole thing up. Yeah, so and it has crit strike and defense on the neck piece. But it's a high item level artifact set. So you're going to get the benefit of having that item level if you're running that as well. However, again, you can see it's pretty chunky in terms of being expensive. So you can get by with the Tiamat, with the tentacle rod set if you wanted to, which those are pretty dang cheap because that tanked the day it came out. These are obtained out of MTOS, the tentacle set. So the tentacle eye is 22,000 and the wrap is 39,000 right now. And then the actual artifact itself is also probably really cheap. Let's look. $106. So less than 200K for the full set if you chose to go the tentacle rod route. Other options, I think there's a dragon set. I'm not sure on that though because I've never ran it and don't know anything about it. But I remember reading on something that it's bugged and people relying on a bug set on their tank is not good. So I'm not going to recommend anything to do with that right now because I don't actually know what it is. So there's that. The Mythalar set is also a decent set to run on the tank if you have that. You can run it and it'll help with your threat generation just because you're always in combat advantage for the most part. You're giving combat advantage, so you're doing damage in combat advantage, so you're proccing that extra hit that the Mythalar set procs. If we want to read about that one, we can. So you do an additional hit for 100 magnitude when you deal combat advantage damage. So you're consistently generating additional threat by using the Mythalar set. Another set that is a viable set as a tank would be running the Vistani set. As a Guardian fighter, you can proc the Vistani set to give your group debuffs. Like on the bosses, you can debuff the boss with the Vistani set because you're able to proc it using Cleave, your at will. So that's a good option of a set as well to run on your tank. I think that you can also proc the Apocalypse set. I don't actually know on that though.
I wouldn't put Apocalypse on a tank because that's reliant on crits.
Yeah. I don't know. I know Death Row used to run the Apocalypse set on his Paladin though.
That was because Pally's had that was back before the other the percentages came in. That was back when you capped your crit strike rating and you were guaranteed 50%.
Oh, gotcha.
The time.
Yeah, no. So those are there's also the threat generation set that's a little bit older set now. What is? I think I put it in my bank. Hold on.
The jewel mark set?
Is it the jewel? I was like, it's either the jewel or that pennant thing.
The jewel set though, I would never recommend it because it's additive threat rather than that other word.
Multiplicative.
That's the one.
It is still an option though, like.
Yeah, but
if you're coming up and don't somehow have that, but don't have other stuff, you could still run that. Because even additive threat is still generating threat, even though it's not multiplicative. It's still generating threat. You could also. That's all I'm gonna say because I don't know otherwise, like what's good or not good. in terms of sets. Yeah. As far as your weapons go, again, I use Masterwork everywhere because all of our groups run Masterwork for the most part. And even if the DPS are switching off, I'm still running Masterwork to give them the buff from Masterwork. Sets that you can use otherwise are going to be just your other weapon sets. I don't recommend putting on like Mirage or something like that. It would be like the Lionheart or the Stormforged or I guess even like Celestial or like, I don't know how the Dragonborn Veil weapons are as a tank. I can't speak to weapons because here I am just always running Masterwork. As far as your active artifacts go, you're gonna always want to have a selection of debuff artifacts for the group so that you can help debuff the boss on artifact calls. Those are gonna be your things like the Tentacle Rod, the Mythlar, the Tentacle Rod, the Blast Scepter, the new knives, the Demogorgon's Reach, the old knives. Even this Fae over here is one. The Jewel of the North is one too. I don't recommend using that on a tank though, because again, like you're responsible for positioning the enemies for the most part, and if you go shooting off the map, off through the boss and stuff because you just Jewel of the North, that's not wise. Also the standard. It's just your regular debuff artifacts is what I'm talking about. Yeah, if you have the option though, chuck on that Mythlar because you get the stamina regen. In terms of gear, all of my gear is going to be to like in terms of in-game related stuff that I've attained it through. For the most part, all of my gear is either going to be Dragon Hunt gear or stuff out of the MTOS dungeon or earned through the new campaign. Which again, you have to have those things from the dungeon, from the MTOS dungeon to purchase. So the helm that I'm wearing there, I have on the Rugged Sallet of the Dragon Hunter. If you look at it, the equip bonus on this has the Manicore main spite. There's actually a helm from Chult as well that has the same equip bonus on it. It's called something. Fang. Is it the Chitter's Fangs?
Yeah, because the other one was a ring from Voss.
Hold on.
Manticore's bite is only on a ring from Voss, and then...
No, it's the mane of the Manticore. So, the Chitter's Fang is not that. Chitter's Fang is when you use an encounter power, the next enemy that attacks you takes damage. So that is another threat, like it's another type of scenario, the same as the Manicore main bite, but it's... The Manicore's main bite is reliant upon you using a daily power, whereas the Chitter's Fangs is reliant upon you using an encounter power. But this is from... Isn't the Manicore main? The main of the Manicore, isn't that a Chult hunt?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's significantly lower item level, but it does the same thing. If you don't have your dragon hunts grinded out or something and you're not able to get that, which you can buy a helmet without reaching any level so long as you have the currency to buy it. So that's always an easy item to obtain in terms of dragon hunts if you're able to get into groups at all to be able to do those. The chest piece, I just recently switched this out to the Dark Maiden's Ward, whatever that word is. It has the equip bonus on it where I do 5% more damage to enemies that are facing me, which for the most part, I should have threat being the tank. So everything that I'm hitting should be facing me. So I'm going to do 5% more damage to that. So I specifically have this chest piece on to help with threat generation. And then the bonus doubles so long as you're in Underdark. So right now, because of the areas that we're in and the dungeons that we're running and stuff, this is pretty beneficial to run. Otherwise, before I had on this Dragon Hunter chest piece, which was the nope, I'm lying. Before I had on the Forest Guardians Ward Scale Mail, which gave me 1500 awareness for each player that was in my group. So since we're always doing 5-man content, what is that, 7,500? Oh, I can't add.
Yes, it is.
So in a full group of 5, I was getting 7,500 awareness off of my chess piece, from that chess piece. Other options that you could have had on. Oh no, that was my DPS side. Which one was it? Oh, so like this weathered wood breastplate. I don't even remember where this came from. I think the Sylvander, but it's 1,000 defense for each player in your team. I think there's a new version of that from the Sylvander maybe. That's the dragon hunt still. Let's see. Power and combat advantage. Power and deflection. Oh, no, maybe not. Let's look at the north ones. Power. Yeah, no. There's not like another one that's specifically just like that, but there are other things. Okay, so apparently you can't even get that weathered wood chess piece anymore, so just ignore that. There's a dragon hunt gear piece that is that is a specific tank chest piece, is where it's like the rugged gear. Let's go look at that. This one. Yeah, so whenever you were damaged for more than 15% of your maximum hit points in a single blow, you gain 7.5% awareness and 5% stamina regen for 10 seconds. So that's a decent chest piece. I had on the 7,500 rating one rather than the percentage one, just because you get so much percentage awareness by digging in and stuff that it wasn't really necessary for me to have any more percentage rating of awareness rather than boosting up my rating side. So that's why I chose the other one over this one before I switched to the Dark Maidens one. For my arms, I have on these Superior Crushers of the Dragon Hunter, which it says when you have no teammate within 30 foot of you, your power and defense is increased by 5%. However, it actually functions in a manner to where only one person has to not be within 30 foot of you. So usually the healers will stand off to the side, or like if you have ranged DPS in the group as well, they're usually not always all bunched up real tight on the enemy that you're fighting. They're standing a good bit away from you. So these gloves pretty much are up all of the time because of that. I have on the Seal Gear boots, which are the deflect boots, that whenever I'm in a party, I'm gaining 10%. I mean, it's 10%, but it's 10,000 deflect rating, which is equal to 10% if your rating's not capped, which probably isn't, because that's a hard stat to cap. So those are good boots. These are Dragon Seal boots. You earn your Dragon Seals by doing Qs, everybody. I have on this ring. It's the Stalwart Ring of Celerity. It's the threat ring, the running around generating threat ring, because this is how we've learned to tank now, is just running around in circles. And it generates threat around you so long as you continue running. There's an older version of this ring that came from the mini bosses in Avernus. It was like that Mal. I forget what his name is.
Mog?
Mog. There's two mini bosses over here based in Avernus, based on whether you're killing demons or whether you're killing devils. a mini boss will spawn every so often. One of them is like this big Baylor guy, and one of them is maybe another big Baylor guy. I don't know. I don't remember what they are. But they have the chance to drop the ring that is the other one, which is in my bank. 1 second. Oh my gosh. It's not in my bank. Oh, it is in my bank. It's called the Ring of the Condemned. So, and it comes in legendary or purple. So long as you have this ring equipped, it's got the charging bull thing on it. So when you've been running around for 1 second, you generate threat. And it's the same as the Dragon Hunt piece, only the Dragon Hunt piece is a higher item level and higher stats. The other ring that I have on right now is this Elistray's Enduring. It's obtained out of MTOS chest at the end. And I have this on because of the stat on it. It's 5,550 crit avoidance. So it's giving me 5.5% crit avoidance and 1.5% recharge speed by having this ring equipped. I'm not really worried about the equip bonus of this ring. I more so have it on because of the stats on the ring itself. And then I'm wearing the awareness shirt from Dragon Hunts, and then the crit avoidance pants from Dragon Hunts. Both of these also have action point gain on it. And you have the chance to get more action point gain when you critically strike. So, that's the rundown of the tank. Did we miss anything?
I mean, you might as well say, because I've noticed it a lot. Just go back to your overloads real quick.
Okay.
And tell people that, oh, they can hear me. I guess overloads don't. Some overloads do not stack.
Yeah, so you don't want to be
Right
running
here.
like two of the same kind most of the time. Because they don't stack with each other.
Yeah, 'cause
Like
I've
you see
noticed
this a
people are,
lot
like,
on
running, like,
DPS running 2 Rage of Flames or something, and I don't think those stack.
they do not know.
Yeah,
Or a
so
double
they're just
purpose
wasting the
continues.
timer on both of them. And like Devil's
Yeah.
Precision, you don't get 5% and 5%. Like it just doesn't work like that. You only get the benefit of one of them. As far as on the tank though, as long as we're talking about it right now, some overloads that are good overloads to run, I will run Bulwark or Brimstones. That gives me 5% maximum hit points. The Unholy Protection is 5% crit avoidance and 5% deflect chance. That's anywhere. You could also, in the new zones and stuff, if you have those lurkers, you could run those as 5% crit avoidance, and it's doubled in the Underdark, so you're getting 10% if you're in the Underdark or like Demogorgon or anywhere like that. There is
Stronghold wards.
I don't have any of them on here.
You're in the stronghold, just go to the vendor.
Oh, yeah. 1 second, everyone. So there's the actual wards themselves. They give you like damage protection from specific types of enemies, which are going to be down here. So you have like all these different ones: Giant Ward, Troll Ward, Demon Ward, Dragon Ward, Elemental Ward, Fey Ward, Lycanthrope, Orc Ward, Undead Ward, Thayan Ward. Like those different wards, you could slot those in, and it's giving you a little bit of DR from those specific types of enemies. Common ones are going to be like the Undead Ward, because a lot of stuff in this game is undead. Like a lot. And then obviously if you're in Dragon Hunts or something with dragons, you could use the Dragon one. And like the Avernus zones and stuff where there's a lot of demons and devils, you could use the Demon Wards. Yeah. That's those. Maybe if you're still doing Sharandar stuff with Fae, you could use a Fae Ward. There's a lot of undead in there though too, so undead would be good. But those are those things. As far as your combat enhancement, so flash freeze. Okay, so it gives you 10% DR, and then on receiving damage, you have 10% chance to apply 20% slow and 5% reduced outgoing damage to the target. So you're getting 10% DR, and you're making the target, you have a 10% chance to make the target do 5% less damage to you. So it's like really 15% less damage hitting you. But not all the time. It's only a 10% chance to proc that. But it also stacks 3 times, so could really be 25% less if you get it to stack all the way up to three times. So that's the flash freeze. The other thingy, the fortified nature, it gives you reduced damage reduction, and then once per second when you receive damage, each hit stacks a 2.5% increase to your defense, awareness, and deflect for 3 seconds, and can stack up to 5 times. The effect can stack up to 5 times and refreshes its duration with each new stack. Upon reaching 5 stacks or after a 3-second delay, all stacks are consumed and you're healed by 7.5%. So you would hit, and as you're hitting, you're building up defense, awareness, and deflect each time. But once you hit 5 stacks, it's going to consume all of those stacks of that. So your stats are going to drop back down, and then you're going to get a 7.5% heal of your maximum hit points. So that's always a good thing as well. Again, as I said earlier, I'm mostly into stuff that provides stamina regeneration, so I'm running a stamina bonus gem down here in the bonus slot, and then my enchantments are just based on what I needed for stats. Like this is giving me awareness, and these over here are giving me deflection and crit avoidance, and then I have power for the most part on the left side, and crit severity, and this one's forte. But yeah, so that's now pretty much everything, I think. I'm gonna, Voodoo, are you still in the party? I mean, in the stream? Would you like to add anything? Do you want to join party and add anything that I may have missed? Or did miss, for that matter. What was that? That one. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum. Voodoo has not replied. You're doing great. No. He's shy. He's shy, everybody. But, so that's pretty much it, though. Anybody, if y'all have any questions or anything, feel free to type them in the chat, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. Again, I need you all to remember that I just get by as a tank. I'm the I get by person as a tank. I'm not the authority of tanks by any means. How important is crit avoidance? So your 2 main stats is as a healer, look at me, as a tank, that you're going to want to make sure that you cap is your defense and your awareness. As far as crit avoidance and deflect go, I mean, you don't have to cap them, but I would try to get them as high as you can. As far as it being important, I don't really know the answer to that in terms of how those things scale with regard to like how the healer stuff scales. I know that power and outgoing healing scales identically, and then crit strike is your next important, followed by crit severity being the least important. So So Voodoo's saying right here, crit avoidance is super important for content that includes tank bust mechanics. So in content where you're taking those big hits, like I guess that would include like MTOS, where the boss is dunking you on the first one, because that's a really big hit that it does right there whenever it does that. If you can potentially not get crit on as much, then that's a good thing. Zariel has a tank buster in it. I don't really know. This is where I'm at in life. It's 66% crit avoidance. Big hit is an understatement. Yeah, no, that dunk is it's no joke. It's no joke. Yeah, so I guess in terms of, taking a really big hit, you want to have your crit avoidance as high as possible, I guess. But I don't know that I wouldn't say... You wouldn't want to sacrifice your defense awareness, though, for crit avoidance, would you? Or would you?
Nah. Definitely not awareness, anyway.
Yeah, so my 66% crit avoidance, outside of like tank buster mechanics and stuff, it's okay. Like I do fine. And then what you mean, Voodoo? Because he's saying right here, my 66% is 76% when I dig in.
Because you get 10% when you dig in.
Where does it say that, though?
On your mechanics thing?
I'm looking at my mechanics, and for the dig in, the only added effect is you gain 15% awareness. And you're immune to most control effects. It doesn't say anything about deflect. I mean, crit avoidance.
No, you
crit avoidance
as well.
Why
It's
doesn't
somewhere.
it say
Oh, it's
it
at the
in
very
tooltip?
bottom. It's at the very bottom.
Oh, and these things?
When you go to the very, very bottom, yeah. Well, where your powers are, you go to the very bottom. Stand there.
5%. Ah. So, unshakable shield arm. There you go. When you're blocking, just in general. So, it's going to be your other block or your dig in. You'll get 10% crit avoidance because of that. We didn't even talk about that, and I didn't even know that.
Oh boy.
This is how good of a tank I am. Hilarious. As far as these general things down here, if anyone would like to know, because I'm a drow on my tank over here. Yeah, I'm just a regular drow. I had to remember which drow I am. So this drow debuff that is being applied, I'm applying Darkfire, which is a 10% chance to apply Darkfire for 5 seconds, reducing the target's defense by 5%. And then I can also open all of the dungeoneering things that I ever want to without having to have a dungeoneering kit, because I'm awesome like that. And then you gain a bonus 5% deflect severity, and because I'm a drow. And then this is the thing where your crit avoidance is increased by 10% when you are blocking. And then you gain 10% movement speed when you're not in combat, because you're a tank. And then you also have this Tactician's Edge, which increases your combat advantage damage by 10% when your stamina is full, and it decreases as your stamina decreases. So that's like helps with threat generation. Yeah, a lot of people die because I lose aggro. It's not just you, Voodoo. But that's more so in terms of me being... I don't think it's necessarily because of the way my tank is set up, rather than it's because of the way I play the tank. So, yeah, like, I'm just not... I would like to be better, and like I try to be better, but there's still a lot I can learn on the tank as well. In terms of not wasting my hard taunt too early, or stuff like that, because sometimes I'll go in, and if I'm playing with a lot of really heavy hitters, which for the most part a lot of the guys that I play with hit really hard, and there's more than one of them that's going to take the aggro, so like they're going to trade it off, and I'll always like panic instantly whenever I see it change, and I'll taunt and I'll pull it back just for somebody else to pull it right back off of me. And it's a vicious cycle. Like, these guys are relentless and they don't care, and then when they die they're like, ugh, what a crappy tank. Not really. I mean, not to my face anyway. Who knows what they say behind closed doors. But for the most part, everybody's good to go. But that's all I've got to say about the tank. I feel like Forrest Gump, and that's all I got to say about that. Hope everybody got some sort of helpful information out of that. If you needed answers on anything, maybe I provided them. Hopefully I did. But yeah, bye Voodoo. Thanks for popping in and helping out in the chat over here as well. Okay. The end of Teaching Tuesday.